Hey Scorpio, time for a reading for you, and you're going to give me a little help with one of my characters, or maybe both of my Scorpio characters, who are twins in my science fiction, but we'll just see what happens. This character that I have in mind is Andy. Andy is my token male, and Andy is short for Andarto, which means Great Bear. So I was drinking some tea from this mug in honor of Andy. So let's see what happens. Let's see a little bit about what's going on with you, Scorp, and see how you and your energy can contribute to this character that I'm building. Okay. We'll begin with an oracle card. I've shuffled all these decks and just see what happens. Okay, we get darkness and the moon. That's a beautiful image. Okay, number 7. Lucky number 7 for you today, Scorpio. Let me read from the book here. I've not looked at this card before or had it come up. Moon, darkness. There are cycles to everything and a season for everything. Do not push yourself when the tides are against you. Do not be afraid of the darkness, as the darkness is as necessary as the light. Rest and repair. The divine feminine in all her forms is rising. The time for introversion, stability, and planning is here. So let's see here. I love that Andy has a moon energy, which is associated with the divine feminine. That's perfect. Let's see. The rest of the description talks about menstrual cycles, how we're personally affected by the moon. And tomorrow will be a full moon in Cancer. So we'll find out more about this, the darkness here, about this time of rest and restoration and the feminine at work in this character. Okay, I have a number of decks here. I wasn't sure exactly which one, but I'm going to start with the Guardian of the Night because it has a wonderful bear in the 9 of Pentacles in here. And Andy is associated with the bear in my imagination. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and do a 7-card spread, and we're going to ask about this darkness, about this time of introversion, and what this part of the journey is about for you, Scorpio. Okay, so the first card we get is the recent past. So we get a 2 of Cups, a new beginning in love. 2 little elephants, 2 happy elephants. And we can see, as in the traditional 2 of Cups, the caduceus and the lion, the winged lion head above it. So we'll find out more about new love in your recent past or some other kind of form of emotional connection that is equal, just. What else? Currently, you're in a 10 of Pentacles. So you're a busy little worker bee. You're at the peak of your career. This is abundance. You know, these little bees bringing in the nectar, collecting that from the flowers. Okay, well, let's just keep looking. Hidden influences. The King of Swords. This deep guy. This true, this sort of Aquarian energy. King of Swords would be a fixed sign, Aquarius, in the air. And this King of Swords, this owl, I just look into the owl's eyes and I see depth. And the owl represents wisdom and truth. And this could be a spiritual truth, one you have yet to become aware of. So you've had some kind of new love. It looks like you're currently working quite a bit, even though that's funny because this is like a lot of people are on vacation right now. So you're working on something. It doesn't have to be your job, but it's very much in the 3D practical earthy world here. Pentacles are earth. And in the background is this really deep, mysterious King of Swords, associated with air, with intellect, with reason, with philosophy. Can be a spiritual influence. Sometimes is talked about as being cold. Okay. You, my friend, are appearing here strangely to reiterate that oracle card as the moon. And the moon is a sign of the divine feminine of illusion. It is associated with Cancer and Pisces. We see that when we're under the moon, you may or may not feel comfortable under the moon. A Scorpio probably would. Darkness is a comfortable place to visit. For Scorpio, it can feel like a natural, like your element. I see this wolf or wild dog here. I think it's of it as a wolf, but looks a lot like a relative of my little dog who's looking in this trash can and finding a treasure, a little fish pouring out, or is perhaps releasing that fish into the waters again. We can take it how we see it. That's actually how I'm seeing it here. There's a kind of releasing of this fish, of the emotional. And so if you're comfortable in darkness and under the moon, which is our oracle card here, and we're going to guess you are as a Scorpio, you actually are in this reading representing that darkness and illusion. And so, well, that's really interesting. We'll find out more here. Now, the people in your life are appearing, also looking up at the starry night here. This is the Seven of Cups, this big bunny rabbit trying to read the stars and projecting all kinds of things onto them. The Seven of Cups is a person with choices or is having difficulty making a choice, perhaps somebody who's projecting cups onto randomly arranged stars, seeing all kinds of things here in the stars. You can see there's a heart, there's victory, laurels, there's a key, just the outpouring of stars. There's the victory symbol, another moon. So we see the moon reiterated here. Yeah, all kinds of things that you can read into the night sky. And this is the person or people in your life here. All right, so the advice of this reading for you, Scorpio, is the Five of Cups. And I've seen other readers say that this is one of Scorpio's cards. This is a place that Scorpio goes. We in our intensity can go into this place. It's a place of regret. It's a place of grief. And it also has that transformative promise built into it. As you can see, 3 cups have been broken. So this is whatever we feel loss over or whatever the regret has been caused here. Very often we see a figure who's focusing on these broken cups, but that there is a new 2 of cups here coming in. Remember, in your recent past, you got that 2 of cups. So for some reason, this person, you, Scorpio, you had the 2 of cups offered in the past, but then you went back to work. King of Swords is sort of really cold, clear, intellectual truth. Not much in the feels is showing up as a hidden influence. Yeah. And so here we have grief at this loss, but also the promise of this new 2 of Cups, this new connection lit up by little fireflies here. Let's go ahead and read this card in the book. The 5 of Cups. I'm curious about that moth. It has, it looks like a death's head in it. right? So this associates this with a process of transformation that is the Death card in the tarot, which is why readers associate the Five of Cups with Scorpio, because the Death card is our card. But let's see if we can find out a little bit more about the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups may point, this is your advice, so think about this in terms of your advice, may point to an upcoming disappointment or loss as it bears the message that feelings associated with misfortune loom in the darkness. This card may also point to a previous setback or loss currently consuming space in your heart. As a result, you're not capable of moving on or making room for all that you have in life to appreciate. It is here that you may find yourself stuck in a state of grief. Allow yourself time to process your emotions. Feel anger. Feel despair. Let sadness have its moment. The Five of Cups asks you to accept the loss and acknowledge the pain and suffering you feel within. But for balance to be restored, you must let go of what cannot be repaired. Holding on to the past will not help you move forward. It will only create more suffering. The sight of a death's head hawk moth is imposing and can be alarming. A symbol of bad things to come, this migratory moth once tormented the mentally fragile King George III when two appeared in his bedroom. Those who have seen Silence of the Lambs will recognize this moth from the movie. Although not sinister in the slightest, this moth has gained a reputation for being a bad omen. Like all moths, the death's head hawk moth is drawn to light. Use this instinct to help you find the good in others or a source of inspiration that will lighten your day. A less flashy relative of the butterfly, moths can blend in and camouflage themselves. Call in this energy if you need to deal with people who may be less sympathetic to your situation, as it will help you avoid any feelings of being attacked. Wow, I really needed that advice. Looking forward to going back to work in a week, and my work, well, let's just say I work with some toxic characters, and I need this kind of ability to blend in to the background instead of getting picked on by the people that I work with. So that's really good advice. It says grieve if you have grief, and then transform that into potential. The potential that is represented here by the two unbroken cups. And it offers you a methodology for that is epitomized by the death's head hawk moth, which I'm very glad to know about, and its history with King George. Of course, I saw Silence of the Lambs. Jodie Foster was my big childhood crush. Your future involves a Five of Wands. Here we see a very frustrated beaver trying to build a dam across turbulent waters. The Five of Wands is a card about chaos. It can be a creative chaos. It can be about frustration. It can be about a lot of outside input, and you're trying to maybe control that situation. So this is the future. Turbulence, creativity, willpower, perhaps that willpower causing you some frustration. This card also makes me think about work, because we have the Ten of Pentacles in your present. The Five of Wands makes me reflect back to this Ten of Pentacles, where you maybe are, where I may be projecting my story onto this, where there's this creative or willpower problem, frustration. So there's actually lots of evidence in astrologically. I watched a reading today by Coyote Star Astrology where she talks about 2021 and that Uranus and Saturn are going to be square for the entire year. And these are two very different planets. One, Saturn, represents institutions, all the rule makers in society, and Uranus is the planet of revolutionary free thinking and new ideas. And when planets are in a square aspect, that means there's a 90-degree angle there. That means that their energies are working against each other. And so what we see in the future then is this kind of turbulent water, and really two different ways of going about this. Now you, Scorpio, are appearing in this as the moon, as a representative of darkness, of intuition, kind of freedom from institutions, and the sort of light of the sun. And your friend is also here under the night sky. So I see quite a bit of darkness. The King of Swords in the background, also under the moon and the night sky here. And of course, this deck is the guardian of the night. But not all the cards have night skies in them. There's also this Two of Cups here, this opportunity for an emotional connection that is in your recent past. Here, something happened with that. We will see what we can find out as we pull some clarifiers on these cards. On the bottom of the deck, influencing everything, and this goes to what I just said about Saturn, is the Emperor. And so we've got two owls with swords here in this deck. This Emperor is represented here. I think the owl feathers, they make me think, the Emperor is about tradition, about the 3D, about power and authority, but this is actually a kind of tradition that is non-Western. I'm thinking indigenous tradition. This makes me think of different kinds of ceremonial uses of owl feathers, perhaps. And also I see here this ghost of a dog. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not a dog, it's a ram, representing that this card is also the card of Aries here. But I saw it as a dog, as a ghost dog. And, when we make mistakes in tarot, we take that seriously as, well, maybe that has something to do with our story. So if we see more ghost dogs, otherwise I'll just forget about it. Okay, so let's clarify. We're going to clarify with the light seers here. Light seers, tell us about this Two of Cups in the recent past. What happened here? I am curious. I've been getting a lot of love stories in my readings these days. In fact, I believe the last Scorpio reading I did had a Two of Cups as the future. So perhaps you have moved through this already before you get here. Let me know. That did not happen to me. But I'm very curious about any Scorpios that have had kind of a new love in the recent past here. Okay, Two of Cups. We got an Ace of Swords. Okay. Secondly, to clarify, the Hierophant. Another card of institutions here, spiritual institutions. This card often appears as the Pope in the deck. This guy's different. This is a yogi. And this spiritual path that this yogi represents is a kind of ascension into that gorgeous pink magical sky. So much like the Emperor card that we saw here, being about tradition and structural power, but also a kind of non-Western alternative form of tradition. I see that in this other deck when we look at the Hierophant. And we also see a King of Cups here in your recent past. This is a spiritual person. This person is in touch with his emotions, and he is kind of, he's reserved in his emotions, not because he's not in touch or mature, but because he is a king, and the kings are busy with the kingdom. And so talking about their feelings is not what the king does. The queen is open about her feelings. The king keeps his feelings to himself. This has to do something with his masculinity. So this Two of Cups here between the King of Cups and the Hierophant. That's what I see, Scorpio. in your recent past. And then some kind of, both of them are seeking this truth, right? So they're both kind of touching intuitively into some kind of truth. This could be how you have met as spiritual peers, as on a path of a meditative path where you kind of like a yogi here. So this is the basis of your Two of Cups in the recent past is that you have a kindred spirit that you have encountered recently, and you're both on a quest for truth. And I'm going to say that the King of Cups and the Hierophant, like the Hierophant is laughing his head off, and the King of Cups, which of course would also be another card of Scorpio, fixed water sign, is much more serious and inward. So you choose, who do you identify with, Scorpio? My character, Andy, is a twin, and so his twin sister, Atalanta, is here, the more serious King of Cups, and Andy has a wicked sense of humor in my stories. So, which it's hard to write humor, you know. And sometimes when I try to be funny in creative writing, I might be more dorky than funny. But it's all in good fun. It's fun to try. Okay. So you met somebody, or maybe, yeah, in my story, sometimes these twins are separated at birth. And Andy is a neuroscientist, whereas Addie, his twin sister, is a historian like me. And yeah, so it's really important to have a neuroscientist in this story. There's so much really fascinating new knowledge about our brains and the plasticity of our brains and how this shapes, it should be shaping the way that we do our identity politics, the way that we think about gender, for example, that our social constructs become real in the world, not because they're true, but because we make them real, because we're talking about institutions, right? So there's this revision, this rebellion that we see associated with the presence of Uranus here, this conjunct with Saturn, not conjunct, the square with Saturn that we're in and that we will be in for the entire year. So a tension between the rules and the rule breakers, between transformative revolutionary energy and rebellion and the people that are anxious and wanting to keep that locked down. Okay, so you're working right now. You're in the Ten of Pentacles. This suggests, you're a master of your trade. You're comfortable and secure. What else is happening in your present? We see you inspired and useful. The Page of Wands. Page of Wands came up in, I think, my last reading with, I think it was my Sag. Britta Mart came in as a Page of Wands, but I'll have to check my work. So the Page of Wands, this person who feels, and the Page of Wands message in the last reading, it was Britta Mart, was, about an encounter across differences. It could be cultural differences, and that you seek love and recognition through the external appearance. So that's interesting that's coming up. We see another indication of something ending. So because you're at the Ten of Pentacles, that often means you've finished that project and it's time to move on to a one. So you start a new cycle. This Page of Wands can indicate a new idea coming in, and like all of this creative excitement and passion here as well. And this idea that something is ending the world. It could be the fact that my story is set in the present, in the end of the world, in an apocalypse. or it could be something else. And all of the characters in my story are attempting to start something new, to change the world. And I see that happening here. Something presently is ending. There's a new idea, and you are engaged presently in that ending, in that transition. That's why this is your advice. You have to grieve the old world. When the world ends, there can be some holding on to that because there's so much there that you love, that you're attached to. But the transformation asks that you also begin to envision the new world. And here we go. This is how you should begin as the Fool, the kind of open-hearted, open-minded beginner. The Fool is the person that takes a leap of faith. And I see in both the world and this Fool card, I see the portal right there and right behind her. So this is the portal to the next cycle here. There's lots of sciencey stuff here. I like that for my neuroscientist here and here as well. So this tells me that if you are a scientist, that there is that is the doorway into the next place. And reiterating all of these circles in this present here. There, see, we've got circle, 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 portal, portal, portal. And you are a part of opening this new beginning, this new cycle. This makes very, very good sense to me. Whew. Okay, this King of Swords, this Aquarian or this philosophical, ideological energy that is perhaps hidden from you. It's in the place of your hidden influences here, this deep wisdom of this King of Swords. So let's find out more about these hidden influences. I've always loved this character, and I just love this character even more as I'm doing this. And you, Scorpio, are adding insight into Andy here. Okay, there's the Lovers. This is more indication that this Two of Cups, this alliance, is really important in the background. Well, yeah, I'm really called to see a real circular energy between them. This is, in this deck, we see an interracial relationship. And that reiterates the message of the Page of Wands, that there is, that you must look past difference, past appearance in order to recognize perhaps love. And the Lovers can also mean that there's a choice. So if it's not a romantic story or some kind of soulmate connection, that we seem to see these two people who share some kind of philosophical or intellectual or spiritual truth seeking that they're going on. And now we can see that there is a kind of cross-cultural encounter that may or may not be a part of this. So we have a yogi and then this kind of guy perhaps from the British Isles. Yeah, he's definitely somebody that lives close to the sea. And he could be in Los Angeles. That came up yesterday in Brittamart's reading. Yeah, okay. So the Lovers with the King of Swords. What else? Okay. Here's your Queen. Here's the Queen of Swords. This is a definite reiteration of this match between two people with, you're not air signs, but two people who have an intellectual project or a spiritual alliance. They're a match spiritually or intellectually in the truth realm of air, which is also of the blood, of the sanguine, which has a quite different meaning in the history that I study. And then we have, let's heat that blood up a little here with the Knight of Wands, this passionate, sexy, Lots of willpower, real fast moving energy here behind the Queen of Swords as she, the Lovers is right between the King and the Queen, and the Knight of Wands, this force of passion. It could be another person, but I'm not seeing threes in here at all. She's showing up here as a part of the Queen of Swords. This is not a cold connection. This is a hot-blooded connection here. And it doesn't have to be romantic. It's definitely fully inspired, you know. Okay, you appear here, my Scorpio friend, as the moon. Let's find out a little bit more about the illusion that is you. Or you're just comfortable in the dark, right? So there's quite a bit of the light coming from the darkness. I also see the gesture of this person across her chest. This could be about modesty, but I don't really see modesty. It's a protective gesture in this oracle deck, and it's also about protecting your heart and going inward for inspiration. But we can see this planet or the sun or the moon. I know it's supposed to be the moon, but it's almost like a comet. It's like a fireball in the background that's just like coming out of her mind, out of her hair. This seems very appropriate for this Two of Cups lovers meeting of these intellectual, spiritual power couple that we have showing up in this reading. So let's find out about you appearing as the moon. Okay, you're getting the Hanged Man. So you're waiting around for some new perspective to come in. You'll hang there until you see things in a new light. And of course, the moon it's hard to get perspective when you're in the moon. It's dark. There's the Hanged Man here is waiting to get lit up with inspiration. Funny how I was talking so much about this light coming from her. I mean, even their hair is, visually, there's a match happening here between the moon figure here and the Hanged Man. Secondly, you show up here as a Page of Pentacles. You have a very practical beginning idea, and since we are engaged in a world building project, not only in my fiction but also in the present, to bring that idea, that practical start, just a little idea, what do you think about this, is a part of what is coming from you. And thirdly, we see the Knight of Pentacles. I love this for Andy and for you, Scorpio. This is a person who's like a straight A student. You know, they'd be capable of working that hard to get a degree in neuroscience. They take it easy and slow. They're naked. Their feet are bare. They're walking their horse instead of riding their horse. So Knight of Pentacles is a really nice person. And he's the slowpoke knight. He's not going to get anywhere fast, but he's going to do it with this sort of practical beginning here. Oh, let's try this, and then let's do all the steps on our way. First we'll do this, then we'll do this, or maybe we'll just release all this bullshit, right? We're revising the world. We're re-envisioning the world. It takes time to inventory what needs to go, and then to let it go, right? That's the process of grief that we're in. And there's so much here with the world and the Fool and this new portal, this new idea that you're presenting here. Again, more circles, more of that. There's an inspiration that comes of looking at things from upside down. You get a new perspective. And with that comes this little idea, and then all the steps that it takes to leave the old world and make the new one. So this is let me just say, you got a lot going on, but it's all behind your Scorpio facade. You're just a mysterious sign in general, Scorpio. People actually have to ask you, what do you think? You might just sit there, all grounded and comfortable in your skin, just all grounded and comfortable with not being asked, with being mysterious. And it takes this counterpart, this Queen of Swords, to this King of Swords, right? To really inspire you, I think, to open up and share your mysterious idea here. And so this is the card we have for your person or people around you. It doesn't have to be just one person that's this counterpart. There's a lot of people over here in your story. They could be the same person, or they could be multiple people that are coming in to this story with various things to add, which in my book, it's a team of people who are envisioning the world. It takes like all kinds of ideas coming from all kinds of places, experiences and sensibilities that have been gathered together. So this state of the lovers, it doesn't have to be just me and you, even though it's a Two of Cups, it could be us. In this deck, the Two of Cups is again a multicultural couple represented by their hands being held over two bowls that are shooting up rainbows. So I always see a lot of social justice, queer ideas coming out of the Two of Cups because of that image. All right, Seven of Cups here. What does your friend or your friends, who are these people? Are there 7 of them? Are there 7 of you? There are 7 friends for Andy in my book. Anyway, we get a High Priestess. Awesome. She is like you, comfortable, intuitive. Like you're the moon, right? Intuition. This person is very magical, very intuitive. They're connecting. So we see them here. You and this person. This looks like your person because this High Priestess has that pink inspiration. But again, like I said, and you can move around the characters to see what you relate to. Okay, this person is in the Six of Swords. This is perhaps as a result of this High Priestess experience of connecting energetically, intuitively. This person is moving from one place to another, and this card lately I've been seeing as much like the Hanged Man, as a shift in perspective from the stories that we tell, and our neuroscientist Andy would tell us this, will shape our brains, our bodies, and our realities. So if you change your mind, and you give up all the illusions here, that this rabbit is examining all of the possibilities, all of the projections in the world, is then intuitively knowing and is thus moving from one view to another, from one place to another. And both things are happening in my books, and I hope in the life of your friend here, your person, or the people that you're around, that we're able to both move. There's a leave taking from the planet in this fiction. There's a return to the planet, and there's also a massive effort to rethink our world. And of course, if we go back to the presence here of this couple, the rethinkers, that seems quite in sync with everything that we're seeing. And thirdly, your person is the moon. Wow. This is almost like your twin. So, yeah. So these could be 3, 4 different people in your life, or they could all be one person. Wow. And I see darkness in this person more than in you. Yeah. So fascinating. I love when there's that. So it's like your twin. Your real twin, or your soul twin, your companion, that you're just meant to meet this person and do some stuff with them. Some really inspired, important stuff. Okay, your advice is the Five of Cups here. We talked a lot about that. Okay, so let's see. More advice, please. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles. This is, again, in the very practical world. This is a person who is solitary and comfortable on her own. She or he looks to their own counsel. The truth represented here by the bird, which is often, here it's a parrot. In other things, other versions, it could be like a falcon, and the falcon will be hooded. But the hood on the falcon it means that this person is comfortable alone. They're good, and they have met all of their needs. And they're also, there's a being at home here. So if this is in your advice, you're in a process of grieving where you're advised to hang out and let your perspective shift through, like, really honoring your grief. And it may be that this part here you're going to do by yourself for now. We know there's a lot of connection and creative collaboration, either between two people or multiple people. Let's have the Five of Cups again. Sometimes I feel like a card will come up again because I've misread it. So let's see. And then there's a Three of Wands. This is waiting for some manifestation to come in. So you're in darkness, right? The Moon card, darkness, advised you to go into yourself, go into the dark, go into the quiet, grieve. Grieve what has ended, right? The world has ended. You're alone. And while you're grieving, you're told to trust that something that you've been manifesting is going to come in, and just wait. Sorry. The advice is really clear. Feel your feels on your own and just wait. It's going to come. And what comes, it's not a very enjoyable future yet, is this Five of Wands, right? This frustrated little beaver on the stormy sea, this chaos. Let's find out more about that future if we can. Just looking at the time there. Future. Oh, lovely. There is our community. There's the Ten of Cups. That's all the satisfaction, emotional satisfaction, community, family, true love. There's tons of that in this reading here. That's in your future. Secondly, kind of contradictorily, there you are hermiting. This hermit actually and this Hierophant have quite a bit in common. We see a kind of energetic connection and inspired truth, a spiritual truth, right? We have an Ace of Swords starting us out here in this Two of Cups that you're in. So there's togetherness, there's solitude, there's inner reflection, and thirdly, there's collaboration. I like that I got this card here for the future, because I told you that when you wait, you're going to have a chance to come out of this isolation, having grieved this loss, this end. And then you're going to move into a collaborative space that is with the ones that you love. It may be a little bit chaotic, right? This card does not have this in it, but sometimes you see like a bunch of goofballs, I call them, who are trying to build something, and they're all going in different directions. They all have different ideas, and it's very disorganized. My dog is having a good drink of water. Good boy, Ganny. So there's that Five of Wands can be a part of collaboration, part of this beautiful community that we see in the future. This almost looks like traveling on a rainbow here. These two dear friends or sweethearts. And between those sort of lovey-feely togetherness and the kind of 3D, or we're making things together, we see in your future you also taking time to go inward, to have integrity, to know yourself. There's a lot of sign here in the cards that as I'm looking at it, I see again and again you centered, you reflecting and grounding yourself in what is like a really creative, love-filled, inspired time of world building. But you do need to take this advice, and this will be a part of what you do and need in the future of going alone into the darkness, taking care of yourself, feeling comfortable there and healed there in order to move back out into the world, into making your inspirations, right? Remember, you show up here as a little Page of Pentacles. There's your idea, and here's you in the future making that idea real with your collective. Cool. And I like collectives. I'm a feminist. I'm not super into like emperor authoritarian setups. I like less structure, more ideas. So I don't think the Five of Wands has to be totally negative, although I definitely see a really annoyed beaver. So if you get that annoyance in the future, look around. You're with people that love you. You have time to get grounded, and you're building your dream. And it's just sometimes a little chaotic. So yeah, I think you're comfortable with that. Although you do have this Knight of Pentacles ability, to do to be a straight A student. The one that's in small groups, does all the work. That's the Knight of Pentacles. But this one is grounded. He's barefoot. He's walking his horse. He's an easygoing feller. And so are you, Scorpio, as you appear here on your journey. Wow. Okay, take leave. Let me know. Like, comment. It's fun to hear from the few people that I do hear from. So please let me know. And we'll keep on writing science fiction together. Thank you for being a part of my character, Andy.